Giving honor and praise to the Most High, true and living God. Baggage. And I know I was starting at first with, it starts with what's within us. And let me clarify. I wrote a book called Seeking After the Man in Me. So within that book, I talked about certain things of how we were taught lies. I talked about the family structure actually being corrupted and destroyed by core beliefs that society has brought to us. Just to sum it up, I talked about a lot of other things within the judicial system and all of that. And everything that I wrote about in the book that briefly talked about life, the things that we deal with in life and all that, I added the word into everything just to try to explain how we should operate if we say that we are children of God. And this is individually, because we all have our flaws and we all done things, made errors. And this is what I'm going to get to. We have to trust God over ourselves. There's certain things that we know even ourselves. We will say one thing one day and the next is something, or the next second we'll do something different. Even in the word, I think Paul said, there's things that I don't want to do, I do, and the things that I want to do, I don't do it. And I may be saying it wrong, but you get my drift. Basically, even as individuals, this is why it says that the heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it? But let me go into relationship, the family, marriage. Women have been taught through liberation, women's empowerment, which, like I said, women should have the right to do things and have a say in things. But it's how a woman goes about it, especially a wife. The Bible specifically talks about how a woman can destroy her own home. It talks about how a woman, even though she expresses herself, she should be quick to be silent and slow to just speak or wrath or just be combative, just saying things. Even if she's not raising her tone, her words, women's mouth, when it's not tamed, she could say things so smoothly, but it still can be hurtful and belittling. And then you have some women that will refrain from doing that, not because she does not necessarily have a say, but she feels like women really know deep down inside that their mouths, even some of their actions, can be unruly. But what women do, they don't really know how to balance that. So instead of them really expressing themselves the way they should, or learning how to communicate better or converse better, what they do sometimes is just shut down and withdraw because they don't want to get in an argument. The Bible specifically tells everything what a woman should do, but society tells them different. Their mothers, their grandmothers tell them different. Some of their family members or so-called friends tell them different. Social media tells them different. We have been told lies after lies after lies. Women have adopted the lie and took that into their homes, into their marriages, all because they want some freedom, some sort of control. Whether they realize it or not, they want to be the head. A lot of relationships and marriages do not have God in it. And I'm not saying it's both the man and the woman. It may be the man and maybe the woman. But I'm going to tell you this. If a woman or a woman that is a wife, especially has a God-fearing man that she knows, that has laid out a structure for the family, for the marriage, and she does everything to go against that, not continuously showing forgiveness and grace to her husband, because all she could do is stick on the flaws that he has, the things that he did wrong. All she could do is hold up the past against her husband, especially in a marriage. Then that's that woman, that wife's issue more than anybody in the house, her husband or her children, because she is supposed to be the one to keep the peace and keep the family together. It's not saying that she's the head overall. It's just saying by her submission towards God ultimately. If women really trust God the way that they say they do, we would not be having these many problems nowadays in our homes. But women, what they do, they're looking at so much of what that man or her husband especially has done, the things she didn't like outweighing the bad more than the good, that she forgot all about God. This is why I keep telling people, it says in the word that in a home, the wife, as husband and wife, we're supposed to trust God over each other. And if both people, and I'm quite sure that if there's any type of conflict in any relationship or marriage, no one is not innocent within that relationship or marriage. So this is why it's very important for a woman to not get so caught up in her emotions. If she really loves her husband, loves her children, she's going to do everything in her power consistently, continuously, to trust God over what she's going through with her husband or her children. She's going to trust God that everything is going to work out by her continuing to embrace and grow and learn within her femininity. I said once before, femininity is simply being nurturing, showing empathy, sympathy, and grace and forgiveness. That really sums up a woman's role. And if she could continuously do that, most women will have better results, even in their homes, in their marriages. And just instead of just saying, I'm tired, I'm fed up, who doesn't get tired? I'm pretty sure if you keep nagging this man, if you keep bringing, or your husband, bringing his past up, not bringing out the good in him when he is trying to make efforts to do better, but all you could do is think about the bad more than the good, or worry about what you don't have or what y'all don't have right now at the moment, as far as reaching certain goals and finances and all of that. What a woman has to realize, when she has that mindset, she's actually blocking the blessings that God that he has in store for the marriage. Once it becomes a continuous thing that the wife is doing this, God will just step back. It's not that he's not there willing to show forgiveness and grace within that marriage, but there's something off. And because women have been so privileged and had all these privileges before, not having to really deal with a man, and can be able to cut him off whenever she wanted to, it made it hard for women, even those that may have gotten married later on. It made it very difficult for them to continue to walk in their femininity, be submissive, and ultimately trust God over themselves and even their husbands, so they can actually be blessed beyond measure. And this is why we have to start saying to each other what you didn't do. We need to say what we can do, what we should do. Highlight the strengths more than the weaknesses. I mean, to be honest, there's some things that, your husband may be better at. There's some things that your wife may be better at. In those areas that you're weak at, y'all should be strengthening each other in those areas. That's how you build marriages. You don't just sit there every day, every time y'all have a conversation, you complaining and going in circles about things that didn't happen, that you wanted to happen. Because a lot of times you got to look at yourself in the mirror when those things didn't come out the way that it should. God sometimes is protecting us from making drastic decisions, all because we're not in alignment as men and women, husband and wife. Until we get to that point, that's when he will start blessing us more. So this is why in these days, I honestly know that God has taken away these privileges that women have had to kick the man out, cut him off whenever she wanted, to the point to where she's bitter and miserable and saying she don't need a man. All she needs is God. But God created the woman to be man's helpmeet. So that's why the order is God, man, woman, and if you have children, child. But she has to still realize that even though the man may have more authority, without her checking herself, checking her emotions, checking what she says before she says it. Being a little, being a little bit more forgiving and gracious. If a woman and a wife is having a difficult time doing that, it doesn't matter who she gets with. That same destructive cycle is going to move on to the next person she gets with. This is why I always say it's important for marriages to come together and under the covenant of God. Yes, things are going to happen. Yes, times go on. But the reason why there are things that are prolonged, the blessings, the better treatment towards one another, I'm just going to be honest. Men, we have to check ourselves and take accountability. I don't think that many men have a problem with taking accountability, but this is where I start to realize more and more every day that women have the hardest time taking accountability, because if they really took full accountability, they will be operating different in a more righteous way, so their families can actually be blessed, be more fruitful. I honestly believe this, that if women are the type of women that just want to be individuals and just want to be on their own, then just be right up front and honest. Before you even walk down that aisle, you should not be thinking about marriage. No woman should be thinking about marriage if she just wants to do things her way. And I honestly believe that if more women that were like that and were up front at first, we could have nipped things in the bud and we would have had less broken homes. But I don't think the woman tries to make it seem like because the man does things that she doesn't like, she probably ignored her husband's feelings, her man's feelings. It went over and under the structure he laid out, but then yet still had the audacity to say something about that man or her husband. Most men, if they say I do, if they're thinking about marriage, which I said even statistically, most men, and even in our race especially, is the most family oriented. So there are more men that are willing to get married, even if they say they don't want to get married. I believe more men want to get married, but the problem is the women don't understand what it is to be wives anymore. They want the ring. They want the idealistic side of what they think a marriage should be, forgetting that the fact that you said to each other, to your family and God, for better or for worse, sickness and health, rich or poor, till death do us part. It's like all of a sudden when things get bad and these women are not taking accountability for their actions, they forget all about God, they forget all about the vows, and then when things start getting like crazy and chaotic and toxic, the woman just acts as if like, oh, I didn't do nothing wrong, it was him, he's the leader. Yes, husbands shall love their wives like Christ loved the church. But I'm going to always say that before it says that, women wives are supposed to honor their husbands over anyone else other than God. It's a lot of men. It's a man today that his anniversary may have came up and his wife just left. Didn't tell him why. They might have been going through some things. He may have truly cared. He was wanting to know what's going on. Why are you acting like this? Why can't we get things right? And instead of her expressing it to him or being honest to him right up front before they even got married, because some people are choosing women, a lot more women, I believe, because the divorce rates wouldn't be so high. A lot of women are getting into marriages and they really not knowledgeable of marriage enough. They're not knowledgeable of what it is how to be a wife. They're not even knowledgeable of how to treat their husbands, even in the time of issues. And like I said, some women truly didn't know whether they wanted to be married or not. They just wanted marriage. They didn't want to keep doing the things that they were doing in the past. So they decided to get married, but deep down inside, that's not what they really wanted. So they did it for selfish reasons. And then what happens is you find this out later on that a lot of these women, not all of them, are all about themselves. This is why when you go through problems with a woman, they make their conversations one-sided. They don't want to accept the fact that they could have did things better. They could have did things to help the marriage, the situation out. Because that's a really, really tough pill to swallow, and it hurts bad. Especially if you found out some things that your husband has done. That you may have not have liked. All because you didn't want to sit down and talk. All because you didn't want to come together. All because you wanted to stay in your shell and not put on your grown woman pants or skirt on and do what you could to trust in God ultimately to make the family, to keep the family together and make the marriage work. So today, right now, I continue to pray for those that don't have a relationship with God, Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. Get to know him, accept him in your heart, confess with your mouth, and believe in your heart that he is Lord. And those that have a relationship already, continue to show grace, continue to show forgiveness. Don't stay down. Don't let anyone make you feel like you should stay down. Because we all have flaws. We all make errors. We all been told lies. So I pray that those that trust in God continue to seek after the truth. Hang around people that's going to tell you the truth, that's going to hold you accountable. Do the research, study the word, continue to pray, seek after the truth, stay vigilant in these dark times. And I'm praying That God's grace continue to be upon us. I love y'all, but God loves y'all more. Amen.